You've probably heard it called the ghost of the mountains, right? This almost mythical creature, seemingly built by evolution to own the most extreme places on Earth. But what if that whole legend misses the most important part of the story? What if the snow leopard's greatest weakness and its only real hope are actually two sides of the very same coin? Let's get into it.
So this is the image that probably pops into your head. The powerful, solitary hunter, perfectly camouflaged, totally at home in some of the world's most brutal landscapes. It's the icon of resilience. But the latest science? Well, it's telling a story that's a whole lot more complex and, honestly, a lot more fragile than this picture lets on.
And to really get just how extreme their world is, just look at this number. Snow leopards hang out at elevations above 6,000 meters. That's almost 20,000 feet up. The air there has less than half the oxygen you and I are breathing right now. For a big predator, that kind of environment should be pretty much impossible.
Which brings us to the big question scientists have been chewing on for years. How on earth do they do it? What kind of biological superpower lets them not just survive, but actively hunt in that thin, freezing air? Logically, the first place you'd look is in their blood.
And this, right here, is where the whole myth starts to fall apart. You'd think, logically, that high-altitude animals would have blood that's like a super magnet for oxygen, right? Grabbing every last molecule it can. But the reality for the snow leopard? Totally the opposite. Turns out, their blood has a low oxygen affinity, pretty much identical to their cousin living at sea level, the African lion.
Okay, so to really get why this is such a scientific curveball, let's just do a quick refresh. Hemoglobin is the protein that's basically the delivery truck for oxygen in your blood. And what the science is telling us is that the snow leopard's delivery truck isn't specially built for these high-altitude routes at all.
The researchers were so surprised, they basically concluded that the secret can't be in the blood. This quote from the study says it all. Their crazy ability to handle hypoxia, that severe lack of oxygen, it has to come from somewhere else. Maybe they have bigger lungs or a more powerful heart, or their muscles just use oxygen more efficiently. But the blood itself? Not the superpower we thought it was.
So, if their blood isn't the magic bullet, what other secrets are they hiding? Well, the search takes us even deeper, right into their genetic code. And what was found there? Well, it reveals an even more profound vulnerability. First, a little context. The estimated number of snow leopards in the entire world is tiny, somewhere between about 4,500 and 7,500, just scattered across these massive mountain ranges in Asia. And that small number is the real key to their genetic story. Because when scientists looked at the genomes of these cats, they found something just wild. Even though they're separated by thousands of kilometers of insane terrain, genetically, they're all incredibly similar.
And this is the second huge reveal. Snow leopards have extremely low genetic diversity. Now, this isn't from some recent disaster. It looks like they've just been a small, stable population for a very long time. Weirdly, this has a silver lining. It's purged a lot of bad genetic mutations out of the gene pool. But here's the catch. That lack of diversity makes them super vulnerable to new stuff, like a new disease or rapid changes in the climate.
To really get this, just think about cheetahs for a second. We hear all the time about how cheetahs have low genetic diversity because they went through a massive population crash, a bottleneck. The snow leopard story is different. It's a story of long-term isolation, not a recent catastrophe. It's made them tough in one way, but it's a very, very fragile kind of toughness.
So what we have here is this incredible animal that is, on a deep genetic level, just not well equipped to handle fast changes. And that internal biological fragility is now slamming right into a growing list of external, human-caused pressures.
And yeah, those pressures are pretty much what you'd expect. Their high-altitude home is degrading. People and their livestock are moving higher up the mountains, which means more conflict, and that leads to retaliatory killings. And then, hanging over all of it, is a climate that's warming up way too fast, threatening to unravel their entire ecosystem.
But if you really boil it all down, the single biggest flashpoint, the #1 source of conflict, is livestock. For the herding communities who live up there, a snow leopard killing a goat isn't some beautiful moment of nature. It's a disaster. It's a direct threat to their family's income.
So that's the real puzzle at the heart of snow leopard conservation, isn't it? How do you protect this genetically vulnerable predator when its very survival is in direct competition with the economic survival of the people who live right there with it?
Well,
The answer, it turns out, is partnership. It's not about building bigger fences, it's about building trust. It's about giving real assistance, like building predator-proof corrals or creating livestock insurance programs to take the economic sting out of living with predators. It's about respecting local wisdom and making sure communities are actually part of the solution.
And look, this isn't just some nice idea on a PowerPoint slide. It's actually happening. On the ground, in places like Nepal, you've got government agencies and conservation groups working hand in hand with local herders, actively turning that conflict into collaboration. And you know what? It works. I mean, it really works. When these community programs are done right, everything starts moving in the right direction. Fewer livestock are lost, the community's own finances get more secure, and maybe the most important thing of all, attitudes about snow leopards actually start to change. Coexistence stops being a fantasy and starts becoming reality.
And that brings us all the way back to where we started. The story of the snow leopard isn't just about its own incredible, solitary resilience anymore. That myth of the perfectly adapted ghost of the mountain, it's giving way to a much more complicated and I think a much more hopeful truth.
Their survival is now a story of human collaboration. It depends less on the secrets hidden in their DNA and way more on our ability to build partnerships, to find some empathy, and to figure out how to share these incredible landscapes.
For thousands of years, the snow leopard survived its past through its own incredible adaptations. The real question, the one that's a challenge for all of us, is this. As it faces a future that we are defining, can it survive not through its own power, but through our partnership?